Anybody can name this song before it comes on? Back in the day, old school favorite. What up, what up? My name is Scott Rutherford, Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. We are here doing the 6:30 Club. It is Tuesday. It is August 2nd. There's a bunch of things going on that we got to go over. Hope everyone's feeling well and getting ready for the day. Yeah. There you go, Van Halen. It's, you know what? What up, Repasol? What up, Carl? Anybody remember when this came out? Was it 80-something or other? Different lifetime ago, right? When men were men and everyone was a woman or a man. Anyway, we won't get into that. What up, Billy? How you doing? What up, Wayne? Let me say hello to some of my dogs around the world. What up, Texas? We got Cape Cod in the house. We got Adam in the house. We got It's Again. What up, Tel Aviv? How you doing? There you go. Mumbai, you're getting very consistent. What up, Mr. Reston? How's it going? You like the Motiversity video? There you go. All right, who watching the 6:30 Club took 10 minutes out of their morning and watched the Motiversity video that I posted, because there are so many little things in there to get you thinking. And that's what you have to do every morning. You have to get thinking. And usually things stimulate your mind to have you think about what you need to think about also, whether it's the market, whether it's life, whether it's your process, your procedure. You watching it? What stood out to you? Paul, what stood out to you? All right, you guys listen. Listen, it's all about mental growth. By the way, I didn't know what's his face called the comedy? SOCOM. Anyway, embrace your fears. It's true. Challenge yourself. Grow. That your life isn't all about your failures. It's what you focus on. You know, they say fears like limits are just often illusions, right? You know, maybe you're scared to take stock overnight. You know what? Do it once or twice, long or short, if you think it's the right trade, and then all of a sudden you're comfortable doing that. Maybe you're scared of having multiple positions. Maybe do it a few times when the trend is your friend, and all of a sudden you're over that. There are things as traders that you think you have a problem with until you actually do them. You know. So anyway, with that being said, sitting on the end of the bed thinking about the things that are broken can change it. It's true. You know, at the end of my sauna session, usually there's like 4 minutes left. I sit there dripping, and I think about, you know, what I need to listen for today, you know, what levels I need to watch, what could happen in the first half an hour, what I have to be careful with, etc. The things that you internalize, plan A, B, and C, and the only way you could execute on those with confidence is by being aware. Anyway, here's a chart of the spies. Anybody else have any other quotes before we move on? What up, North Dakota? How you doing? I've never been to North Dakota or South Dakota. I'm sure it's beautiful there. Yeah, you know, it was funny. I was talking to my friend Peter on the way in. So I usually don't listen to 10-10 wins. But I was listening to 10-10 wins on my way to Dunkin' Donuts this morning, and I swear to God, in the first 4 minutes, all I heard is about a state of emergency for monkeypox, that everyone has to get their polio vaccine, and how COVID is running rampant. Literally, that was what I heard on and then about Kentucky floods and riots in Queens. I'm like, is that all the news is here for? Is to tell you everything that's wrong with the world, to build up this negative perception of life? This is retarded. There are 330 million people in the U.S. and 5,000 people have monkeypox. Anyway, you know, I'm not saying it might not be a big deal. It's just crazy the way the news tries to sensationalize what's happening. Same thing with the markets. If you remember on Friday, when I sold half of my Blood in the Street account, you know, after a big 2-week move, all of a sudden everybody's bullish. It's really funny how sentiment works. Everyone loves to be, you know, getting on the bandwagon when it's the loudest, when they're ready to shake you off the backside because you're the last one in, you're going to crack your skull. I saw this article this morning that I posted about celebrities in crypto and how at the top of the crypto market, every celebrity in the world got paid in crypto, which nobody really knew about, and you know, endorsed it to their friends who all held the bag. But anyway, you know, you can't blame all these environments around you. You have to blame yourself for falling victim of circumstance. And how do you do that? By listening to others instead of listening to yourself, instead of educating yourself. So with that being said, let's just get to the markets. Here we are. There's the spies. You know, you had a move from the June lows, right? This was your June low, June 17th. It's now August 2nd. So it's been what? About 6-7 weeks of an active sequence to the upside. Right around here is when it got really tested, and you had that RDR. What's an RDR? Well, from resistance, it came in and it wound up reclaiming 372 and 374 and gave you a push all the way up to 413. I know for me, I got caught a little short into that ramp up on Friday afternoon from the road on my way to Saratoga. I was short some calls besides being long some things. So I was ready for a little bit of a retrace or a digestion. You're going to hear on the news all day about how we're going to get into a war with China because Nancy Pelosi needs to touch down in Taiwan. Who knows what really is going to happen there, but I have to believe within 24 hours that story is going to be done, and then everyone's going to be back to focusing on the jobs report on Friday and the CPI next week to see if inflation is really peaked and whether or not the Fed is closer to the end of this cycle, which could then create a pivot, which then might create a different type of market environment. So that's our job. Your job is to figure out how you could engage the market intermediate, long term, and then how you could use each actionable day to create cash flow so you can get paid monthly or quarterly. It's August 2nd. Who got paid in July? Any of you guys get paid for July? Or do you get paid quarterly? I'm just saying that is your job. And how do you figure out your job? You have to do your job better to get paid. And it hasn't been an easy environment. Basically, it was the best month, in what? How many years? Since 2020 after having the worst first half. So it really is all about entries and exits. And if you listen to the computer, the TV, chances are by the time you hear it 4 to 8 times in an hour, that trend is reversing because it's getting louder and louder, and that means way too many people are focusing on it, so that's about to change. Anyway, so for today, the SPYs right now are down 330, so they're at 407.46. So where are we exactly? 407 is a little bit below yesterday's low, a little bit above Friday's low. So we'll see what happens here. Do we hold this spot? Does it hold 406.80 and reclaim 408.40 to create an upper bull flag and let the 8-day catch up? Or do they shake the tree down by staying below 408.40, getting below 406.80, and then the 8-day is all the way down to 403. Last time, if you remember, we had this move. It hit a high of what? 400 and pulled in about $11 before giving another move. So from 413 down to 403, that'd be about $11 or 100 handles. So we'll see which way it goes. Yes, you could focus on the TLT. You could look at what's happening with rates. You could look for clues. Yesterday, my clue that the market was going to take a breather was what stock did we talk about? What stock did I say led this move up? Anybody know? What put in the top and tell yesterday that some guys on the Alpha team actually went out short? Everyone's like, oh, why are they short Tesla? There you go, Tesla. Why? You had a move from 760 that cleared 802, that cleared 827, hit a high of 935, and that's a top and tail, right? That means buyers had it at 935, and then sellers took control, bringing it back towards the lows of the day. And then in the morning, when the market actually was kind of strong, Tesla was done making highs in the morning. So Mike Chillo, who helps lead the Alpha team, and a bunch of other guys like, hey, I'm shorting some calls above. Pooty was talking about it. And some guys were getting short because it gave you a signal. What's a signal as a technician? It means SPYs and Qs continue higher. Whatever stock it was doesn't make a new high, so it's a divergence, and then that's your clue to either take off some size or just if you trade tactically, get short or get out. So now what? Tesla is where? Anybody want to beat me to the punch here? Last I looked, it was like 876. Okay, Tesla, yeah, look at that, 876. So Tesla right now is at 876. So Tesla, to me, will give me some clues on what type of pullback we could have. Does Tesla all of a sudden put its low in for the day in the first 5, 15, 30 minutes where you could buy against it? Just say it hits 870, comes back up to 874. You see markets continue a little bit lower. It doesn't go lower. It gives you a divergence buy signal. You buy versus 870. It just pulled in, 65 points from the highs. And then, hey, maybe it retraces and tries to go towards green. That would mute some of the selling. But if all of a sudden Tesla doesn't put a low in the first half hour and it continues to grind lower all day, you better be careful because chances are, some risk is coming out of the market. So if you look here at levels, okay, 876 is kind of no man's land. It's below 885, which is yesterday's low. Sometimes you'll see a rally to retest 885. And if it reclaims it with power, hey, maybe it relieves pressure, but sometimes it gets rejected there. So if you didn't take home Tesla short and you're like, I think it's going lower, and it rallies back there and gets rejected, hey, maybe you'll make money from the short side. But I'm going to be watching to see if there's a divergence to buy. So anyway, the 8-day is all the way down here at 836. So what is that? What's 876 from 836? What's that, 40 points? So you don't want to start buying too early. I remember when we first topped out post earnings here, at what was it? This was 842, okay, which was right here. I tried to buy Tesla on this day, thinking we would hold, and then that happened. And then that happened. So you don't want to start too early with an idea that the market doesn't confirm. So we'll see what happens. Do we reclaim 885 and go green? That would probably help sentiment. If we don't and stay below 885, then you have 849, and then this is 842. By the time that would happen, the 8-day would be here. And Tesla's been riding this 8-day moving average pretty much, since the market's been trying to rally. So to me, Tesla's important. What else would you guys think is important today to watch? What else reacted well to earnings in the past, week or so? I'll give you guys 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7. I'll take a sip of my coffee. Bueller. All right, you guys are slow today. Amazon reacted well. You're right. Apple reacted well. That's what led the market up. Microsoft reacted fairly. Ford reacted well, but I'm not a feeling it's not going to really lead the market today. I'm still in that. Pins is reacting well today. They're buying bad news, but they have that activist investor in there. Who knows? But Boeing acted well. That's true. So if you want to see what could happen here, I would look at Apple here today. Okay, Apple is below yesterday's low of 160.89 and above the gap pivot. This is your earnings gap pivot. If Apple's going to make it easy to sit in this after the size of this move, it probably holds the gap pivot. If Apple wants to be choppy and a pain in the arse, it's going to break that, and then all of a sudden, some of the momentum leaves, and then you look at your 8-day. Let's see where Apple is right now. Apple this morning is 159.68. Woo! Right around here, right by the earnings pivot. Okay, if it breaks that, it could fill this gap. Sometimes it gets a little bit below the earnings pivot and then comes back above it. Then you get a new low to trade against, and you could use that as a swing. But again, after a move that we've seen in Apple, which was pretty impressive, it's hard to think that it's just going to digest up here and everyone's going to be in such a rush. But I would use 159.60 for that. Okay, Amazon's very similar. Amazon had a decent sized move. 2 loose and wide days. I did play it yesterday, go from red to green and made some money. I think Jeff and Mackenzie are still selling some stocks, so there are waves of selling. Maybe that'll end soon. So for Amazon, the question is, does it hold 132.40 or does it have a big gap to fill? If it holds in here, that means it's tight. That means there's momentum. That makes it easy to sit. If it all of a sudden doesn't hold 132.40, there's a big range all the way down to, I don't even know what this is. This is 122.84. Jesus. This is 125 over here. So you don't want to, you want a point of reference. As an active trader, you want a point of reference so you can define your risk. And if I look right now at Apple, let's see where Amazon, let's see where Amazon is. Is it in the gap? Amazon is down 159 at 133.80. So it's still above that. So sometimes you could buy it, verse it, and then if it breaks it, you get out of the way, and then you look for a new point of reference. But to me, Tesla, Amazon, and Apple are going to be ones to look at. I was in each one of them yesterday, and I didn't take them overnight because they didn't act well. So I have an opportunity to buy them in the hole today. I also had a swing trade on a Microsoft that I get out of. Why did I get out of my swing trade? Because it made a new low in the afternoon when I went to do my workout in the afternoon. So I put stops in. So my stop happened to be Friday's low, and it went a little bit below and got me out. So yesterday I was kind of pissed about it. Today I'm like, all right, that's good. So this is 275.84. So let's see where Microsoft is right now. Microsoft is at 275.48, down 250. So maybe you could be, see if it reclaims this spot, and then you could then put your stop in whatever the 5-15-minute low is. And that's how I approach the morning. I make 90% of my money, 90%, maybe 88, maybe 92, between the open and usually around 11:30 when I'm about to go back, home and brush off the day, because literally I'm up at 4:45, so by 11:30 my head's jelly. So I go home, take a Peloton class with my good friend, not my good friend, but I dream about her being a friend. I'm kidding. Kendall Toole and Ali Love and the crew. I take a Peloton class and I go in the sauna for 20 minutes. I think about the morning, think about what could happen in the afternoon. I usually have stops in, so then I check my phone. I see what I got stopped out of. Sometimes I make even more money by not being there because I don't take profits. I let things go, and that's that. You like that, Make? Meanwhile, Peloton has classes again with people. So maybe in the next month you'll see me in Kendall Toole's class in the front row going like, anyway, maybe not. I'm an idiot. So that was a joke. Don't tell my wife. You know, she's very positive. Anyway, did you see the pictures of me and my wife in Saratoga with the horse? That was a nice picture. My friend Red Storm, who watches this, has a horse. He took us into the paddock, I think that's what they call it. So we were able to see the horses get saddled up. And then my other friend, who owns a different horse, took us to the stables where we got to feed him treats. I love horses. I'm almost done with season 3 of Yellowstone. If you haven't watched Yellowstone, it's a big investment of your time. You're going to lose a little sleep at night, but watch it. It's freaking awesome. It's back when really men were men and everybody was everybody. And women were women. His daughter is crazy. She's ruthless, awesome. But anyway, what did everyone else say? So oil, I gave you a little bit of a red dog reversal sell on Friday, and then it, you know, I guess held right around here. So we'll see what's oil doing today. Oil's, I said a month ago that oil put its top in, whatever, that was a call. Great. That was right around on this day, this sell signal. I didn't say the top was in on oil here. I said it right around there. It's been choppy since. I think Oxy's coming out with earnings tomorrow. It was a big hit. I loved 883 also. That was an awesome show. You think we have it hard? Okay. You think a red day in the market's tough where you're not at the highs of your month or your quarter? Meanwhile, you know, these families would be living somewhere and see a little sign and say, hey, come to Montana. And then they would literally go find the wagon, and 80 different people would go together across country, and maybe 20 of them would make it because of the outlaws, the Indians, disease, the elements, and, you know, they didn't have an iPhone to keep them busy. They were just on there. Anyway, Chevron. Chevron lower open on, yeah, you know what? Chevron reacted well to numbers. Okay, pulled in a little bit. This is very similar, okay, different sector to what I said about Apple and Amazon. Does Chevron hold this earnings gap? You know, so today Chevron might be down. You might want to be buying versus that spot. If you're, you know, trading energy. Energy's been decent to trade. Energy also gave you, a little sell signal, remember here, because I was in Chevron, and then gave a little bit of a buy signal down there. So now what? Put this in here. As long as it's sold to 155.90, if you're an active trader, not a bad thing to be in. So that's something also to focus on. That'll also help the SPYs. Oil is down a little bit, so I'm sure this is down a little bit. I'm sure Exxon looks the same. You know, Exxon Exxon did a little red dog reversal yesterday. It went below 194.10 and came back above it, gave you a new point of reference. Let's see what Oxy's doing. Oxy's Buffett's big buy, right? Oxy's hanging around, very choppy. This I remember when I was playing Oxy over here, you know, in this spot. I think this was when I bought Oxy. Finally had a nice wedge, came up, retested, and then it gave you a sell signal right there as it opened above a prior high. Couldn't hold it, couldn't take back 50% of this range, and then boom. So now what? I don't know. Maybe I'll look at it today. Maybe there's a way to take some kind of options. I wouldn't play the stock, but maybe take options into earnings. I'm sure the earnings are going to be good. It's just a matter of whether or not, you know, they're buying, you know, good earnings or selling it, right? They tried to sell, you know, what was it? ON Semiconductor yesterday, but whatever. What's coming out with earnings today? AMD after the close. AMD's had a very big run, so AMD is going to be harder to rally, okay, after the size of a run like this. It's going to have to be that good in order to continue. So I would be careful just being long AMD because that's what you're used to doing back then. It's actually still in a downtrend. You could actually maybe draw your line like this. I'm just going to do it off the cuff here. It's a little bit above it. Anyway, this will be something to look at tomorrow. I'm not taking an option trade into AMD. Boeing had a good move yesterday. You know, Boeing, you know, this was when everyone was talking about Boeing here, when they had that, you know, push through retest. And I guess you could go like this now. You could draw this here, and just like Apple and Amazon and Chevron, you now have a gap pivot to trade against. Does it hold above that gap pivot and make it easy to sit? I only like to be in a portfolio approach sitting in swing trades where they make it easy and they pay you to stay there. Yeah, maybe you have to buy a dip, maybe you have to, you know, add to when it breaks above a high, maybe you have to massage your tiers, but you want to have a point of reference, you want to make it easy, and so far this year it hasn't been easy to sit in anything. You've had to work the trade, look for the divergence in sectors, be careful on your overnights, know what's happening in the macro, know are they buying bad news, are they selling good news, What's the market's narrative? Right now, the narrative today is, will they blow up Pelosi's plane out of the sky? If not, maybe we rally. Or if they do, holy shit, excuse my French, but then something is going to get escalated. And then if nothing happens, then 24 hours, no one will talk about the trip to Taiwan, and then everyone will be looking at the jobs report to see if it's soft enough for the Fed to make a better pivot. So from here on out, we'll see what happens. Again, we'll see, if you simplify it, do we reclaim 408.40 or hold 406.80? If that's the case, very constructive, high-level support. If not, they shake the tree down a little bit. If you have too much risk on and you bought on Friday when Tom Lee said we're going back to the highs of the year after a move like this, a little irresponsible. I don't agree with him. I don't think we're going back to the highs of the year, but who don't mind? I'm being very careful with my entries and exits, and I'm going to let the market tell me what's happening next. But anyway, so we'll see. This is your spots, and then that's it. And what kind of clues are we going to look for? We're going to see if the strongest names that reacted best to earnings, like you said, Chevron, Boeing, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, do they hold the gaps from earnings, or do they trade into them and make things choppier and make you have to put some hands off and figure out what's next? Either which way, I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. Look, if you didn't watch the Motiversity video that I put out there, it's 10 minutes. It's only 6:52. You have a lot between now and the open. So I would maybe get on the treadmill, get on the stair machine, and listen to it and let your brain think about all these things when they're talking to you. That's what I do every day. I find new videos to just kind of talk to me and elicit little thoughts, because it's hard to sometimes come up with them on your own. And then I brainwash my son Chase to do the same. And it's working.